Florida lost USF, and vibes being bad feels like a soft way to put it. Vibes were atrocious right now in Gainesville based on some of y'all's voicemails. But the question I want us to answer together right now after week 2 of the college football season, after Florida lost to USF, is this salvageable for Billy Napier? I'll go back to what I just said. The USF game was embarrassing. As bad a look as you could have in week 2 of the college football season, like you saw Bama lose to Florida State if you're Florida, and you're like, dude, Bama, what are they doing, dude? Losing to that was 2-10 last year. Losing to that team, Bama, what's up with y'all, man? Then you went out there and said, no, actually watch this. Usher style, watch this. Just get thwacked by USF. And I say thwacked, not in the sense of on the scoreboard, but you go ahead and watch how USF physically pushed Florida off the line. And it wasn't a thing where like it's going to show up in the rushing totals, because I think USF only outrushed them by like 10 yards. You talk about the competitive fire that USF played with. I said it during our reaction. Florida looked like they were obligated to be there. Like someone told Florida, hey, I know you have a lot of things you would like to do on Saturday. However, we have a game against USF. You got to be there. And the Florida locker room kind of rolled their eyes, kind of mumbled under their breath and said, okay, fine. We're all getting paid how much from NIL? Okay, cool. We'll show up, whatever. And they played like it and got beat. And so as bad a look as that was, and as much as that game, I think, is just an eyesore on the rest of your schedule the rest of the way, I personally, to answer this question, have a hard time writing the obituary for a team in week 2 of the college football season. Okay? I have a harder time because as bad as it was, and it was bad, I can't say it enough, it was a bad look for Florida. They looked bad, they played bad, all that. It's still a team with top 15 roster talent. It's still a team to where if the lights come on upstairs and the intensity's where it's supposed to be, and you're playing with the right level of, efficiency and just, on your P's and Q's about yourself, Florida can still be a team that goes out and makes some noise. Another thing I want to say here is the obituary for Billy Napier was already written in ink and typed up for us over here on this side of the desk after week 2 of last year's college football season against A&M. Now, here's the stark contrast between this year's obituary and last year's obituary that people are writing. The obituary last year, Billy Napier's dead because they lost to A&M and the schedule's really tough. However, before the schedule got really tough, you got to play teams like UCF, Mississippi State, Samford. You got a chance to kind of get your sea legs before you went and hit that stretch in October into November and played some of your tougher competition. Right now, though, your next 3 games are LSU, Miami, Texas. So there's not that chance to get right. And as bad as that is, as much as that's like, well, hey, that's JD, you say you're not writing the obituary on Billy Napier just yet. You keep telling me that, and then you just told me that schedule. Like, is he not cooked? I think if he was truly cooked, you wouldn't have stuck with him through the end of last year and seen the good things that he did at the end of last year. Like, if Billy Napier was truly on the hot seat like that, I don't think he would have made it to this year, and there would have been a more knee-jerk reaction to this loss. But here's what I do want to make sure we say. Why Florida lost to me, going back to the talent side of things, they lost for the same reasons Alabama lost to Florida State. Like, it's not so different. It wasn't a talent thing. I don't even think it's a culture thing. I think it's an intentionality thing. I think it's a thing where Florida, again, looked like they were told they had to play a football game, showed up, got beat, didn't want to be there. That's how it looked to me. And intentionality is different than culture. Culture, to me, is like, okay, we lost that game, and then midway through, you see guys pointing fingers. You see arguments breaking out in the sideline. You have guys saying the wrong things post-game. You have guys on Twitter saying wild stuff about their own teammates. You got Instagram Live going. It's a bad look. Like, all that, to me, can be put in the bad culture bucket. I don't think that's Florida. I think there was a lot of stupid. I think spitting on somebody is a ridiculous thing to do ever, much less in the context of a football game where you extend the drive and they go beat you. That's a horrible look. But there wasn't like this internal strife that I saw from Florida during that game or after that game. And quite frankly, I didn't see it a year ago where it would have made sense for that to be there after they lost to A&M. Like, the constant from this team since Billy Napier has been there is they play for Billy Napier. Even go back to the year where they won 6 games. I believe it was his first year there. Like, there were some moments where that team very much so could have thrown in the towel. It's a first-year coach. I'm going to hit the portal. I don't know why I'm here. Like, continue to finish strong and play through. And regardless of what that final record said, you could tell by watching that team, even in the first year, they played for Billy Napier. And then last year, too, with them playing the way they did down the stretch. Now, as tough as the schedule is, where do you go from here? I think is the question. Like okay, JD, we beat, Long Island, congratulations in week 1, lost USF. We're staring down the barrel now of all the games that, we were trying to use these first 2 games to get geared up to go win. All right, so now where do we go from here? When you look at just these next 3 games, I need Florida to find a way. If this is salvageable, which again I think it is, need you to find a way to get 1, ideally 2 of these next 3. Is it asking a lot? Sure. Put yourself in the spot, man. Lose to USF, you get asked more of the rest of your schedule. Before, maybe you could have lost 2 of these. I don't know if that's really the world you want to be in. I need 1 of LSU, Miami, or Texas. The good news is Texas is looking human. Miami looked good against Notre Dame, so best of luck. LSU, they're my national title pick, so we'll see. I already picked them to lose that game. But you hear my point in all of this. If you can win 1 to 2 of those games, ideally 2, you have a chance to kind of steady yourself, get morale back, get the train back on the tracks. Is that asking a lot? Again, yes, it is. But that's where you are right now. That is the situation you find yourself in. And if they didn't have the talent, it would be a much different discussion. I think they do have the talent. Now, can you activate it? Can you have the right intention? Can DJ Lagway look a little bit better? Of all those things. You're asking those things, and they have to be done. But the schedule, as tough as it is, while it's your greatest enemy in a lot of ways, it also would kind of be the advantage here in some sense for Florida. Because think about how they finished last year and just the conversation around Florida from the end of last season all the way through this offseason. And Florida, some people had them in their top 10. They're being talked about as a team that could be a playoff dark horse. I mean, we talked about that as much as on our show. Like, hey, if they go 9-3, it's a real conversation to be a playoff team. The reality is, though, you don't have all that momentum from the end of last year into this year if you finish with 3 wins in the regular season over Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Virginia. Oh, good for Florida. They finished strong against some average teams to bad teams. Like, good for Florida. Got the train back on the tracks. But, like, okay, those are some pretty average teams. No, they did it against teams like LSU and ended Ole Miss's playoff hopes. There was like oh, wow, that's actually a pretty impressive filter to run this true freshman quarterback and that roster through. Okay, like maybe there's something there with Florida. So as much as it's frustrating that you have the schedule you have, those next 3 games, if you can go beat those caliber of teams, there should be some morale stabilized. Now, the fact that you lost USF, to add this in here, you lose, for me at least, the benefit of the doubt. Like before, maybe, if it was a record, let's call it, I don't want to say 8-4, but say you go 8-4, 9-3 in that range. That record to me now has a much different taste because you lost to USF than if you had beat USF and those 3 losses are to, a Texas, a Georgia, and an LSU. Like the benefit of the doubt there to me is very much so removed. So that's gone there. There's a chance now to kind of right the ship a little bit for yourself if you're Florida, but it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot because you put yourself in this spot where it has to take more because you lost to USF. So that's my take on it. Caden, we talked about this a fair amount the Sunday morning we came in here. After Florida lost to USF, we're banging out all our predictions, all our reactions to the games that we predicted during the week. You don't love Florida right now, and I don't blame you. Just wax poetic for a minute on how you feel about this Florida team. Is this salvageable in your mind?
I think the answer is no.
Okay.
I don't think this is very salvageable. I think when you look at the reasons why people were so high on Florida coming into this year and were willing to overlook the schedule was because of DJ Lagway and the momentum they created at the end of last season. Mm-hmm. I think the momentum's done now, man. The momentum train just ended by losing to South Florida. I think that puts an end to that. And on top of that, DJ Lagway did not look great in this game, and this is going to be probably one of the worst defenses he plays this entire season. And I think his health is still something to monitor and something that is something you're kind of just on pins and needles holding, waiting on him to hopefully stay healthy throughout the year, but something that just doesn't sit very well, I'm sure, with a lot of Florida fans. But you mentioned the 3-game stretch coming up, going to LSU, going to Miami, and then hosting Texas. They go to A&M right after that. To me, it's a 4-game stretch that they have to overcome. They have a lot to figure out in that stretch, and I don't think there's any room for them to figure that stuff out. They were an undisciplined team. They beat themselves, and if you're beating yourself in September, I can't expect you in the same month of September and October to just start beating teams that are going to have the talent equal or advantage on you. You mentioned Florida is one of the most talented, top 15 talented teams in the country. I don't think they're more talented than LSU. I don't think they're more talented than Miami. I don't think they're more talented than Texas. And then we'll get to Texas A&M and see. But, I mean, you missed your layup. Like, I think them losing to South Florida and just the way they lost to South Florida, man, just beating themselves, being undisciplined, that's stuff that doesn't travel. That's stuff that does not beat teams that are more talented than you. And I think you look at their schedule, and for the most part, you're playing teams that are more talented than you. So for me, I don't think this is salvageable. I would lean towards them not making a bowl game versus turning this around and being a 9-win team that we're talking about knocking on the college football playoff. I just can't see it right now.
So I don't think what you said is by any stretch unfair. I want to throw this at you with a runway of us looking to this upcoming Sunday. So we watch all the games. We have a great time. You and I are texting throughout the day with our thoughts and our reactions, what we want to do with the Sunday sprint the following morning. Another reason to be subscribed. Let's say that we're watching Florida, and it's a great game between them and LSU. The lights are on at Florida. They got a pulse, wounded animal, however you want to phrase it. They play well against LSU. They go into Death Valley. They win by a touchdown, Caden. Let's say they win by a touchdown. I'm not saying if it could or wouldn't happen. Just put yourself in this position. They win by a touchdown in Baton Rouge. Do you feel different the Sunday morning after?
I guess you have to. Like, you have to respect them going on the road against the number 3 team in the country and winning, obviously. But I think it would just speak to the volatility of this team. They could be as bad as a team losing to USF or as good as a team beating LSU. So I think it'd make you feel better, obviously, and you look at the rest of the schedule with the glass probably more half full than empty. But at the end of the day, we've already seen their floor. So it's about how high of a ceiling can they reach against these other teams. And if that ceiling is beating at LSU, then it is extremely high ceiling. But if it's what I think is going to happen is them playing a good game against LSU, maybe even covering the spread, that'd be great, like optically for us talking about it and week in and week out talking about Florida's chances to win these games. But at the end of the day, the people in Gainesville do not care about that. They do not care if they cover the spread. They want to win. And I think even if it's a close loss to LSU, close loss to Miami, close loss to Texas, like not making it and not getting those wins is what they care about down there. So I don't know, man. It feels a little grim. Obviously, we've seen plenty of teams get upset in the past and go on to do great things. We saw Notre Dame take one on the chin to NIU and make it to the national championship. I just don't think this coach and staff and roster has proven that they have that kind of mental fortitude and that culture to sustain that and to bounce back from this in a major way. Best case scenario is this is a proper wake-up call for them and they can turn things around immediately starting this Saturday. But even so, I think LSU is just too big of a mountain to climb, and I think that playing the number 3, 5, and 7 and 16 teams in the country is just an absolute gauntlet no matter what was going to happen in the South Florida game. I don't know if they'd be favored in any of those games, even if they beat South Florida. So
brutal. Backs
against the wall, man. And late last season, we saw them respond in a good way, but it's September, man. I think you still got to find out who you are, and if half of your games you're doing what you did against UCF, that's kind of half the reflection you're looking back at.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point there, which I meant to mention during the segment is, dude, what if this is the wake-up call they need? And this is sort of being a little bit too optimistic in that sense, but I do think it bears some conversation. If the problem is intentionality, well, you took all the margin for error that you had away with a loss to a G5 school, a good G5 school in Alex Golesh and USF, but like you would hope that this can kind of be the all right now. Hey, everybody, we awake now, but it's different being awake and having to play LSU, Miami, Texas A&M, and having to play against some lesser competition. So we'll see here, dude.
Yeah,
we'll see.
They're playing teams. Last thing I'll say, like,
I love it. No, I love it.
Like, even aside from the rankings and what we feel about this upcoming slate, every team they'll play has like gone toe to toe, gone under the heavy bar, as we say on this show. Like LSU is look Clemson dead in the face and beating them down to the wire game. Miami beat Notre Dame. Like Texas went to Ohio State. Like Florida State not only just lost to USF, but they have not even played a team remotely close to the caliber of the teams they're playing.
Yep.
So it's the writing on the walls for me, man. The writing is on the wall for me. I think salvageability is looking a little grim, but we'll see. That's why we play the games, right?
Plot thickens, man. Plot thickens, but it's going to be a super interesting thing to track the rest of the season any way you slice it. But if there was a time to wake up a little bit here, Florida, like now would be the freaking time. But I digress. Be a great stretch for us to watch as college football fans with unfortunate Hunger Games that Florida has drawn. That is their schedule.